Germany's Interior Minister says Syrian refugees should be allowed a once-only trip to their home country without it affecting their immigration status. Nancy Faeser says it would give refugees a chance to decide if a permanent return to Syria is possible. Berlin normally revokes refugees' visas if they travel to their country of origin. Germany hosts the largest number of Syrian refugees in Europe. Well, for more on this, we're joined by Dominic Kane, who is in the German capital, Berlin. Dominic, can you just, first of all, tell us more about this proposal? How likely is it that it could be implemented? And what have Syrians based in Germany, what have they been telling you so far?
The Interior Ministry, officials at it anyway, say that they don't require changes in law or anything like that in order to be able to implement it. So on the face of it, this could happen relatively quickly. We understand from certain well-connected sources in the Syrian community here who look into the legality of certain aspects of life for Syrians here that, yes, it has been suggested to them that this could happen pretty quickly. Why is this happening? Because there are 972,000, it's estimated, Syrians in this country who haven't yet naturalized as Germans, and so they would theoretically fit into this category. But what is their reaction to this? Well, I've spoken to 3 different Syrians who are making their lives in Germany, one of whom has travelled back to Syria over the course of the last few weeks. He has German citizenship and so can return, and all of them, their reaction is that this is a good step forward, that they don't believe right now that they can really make an informed decision about something that could be so life-changing without having the chance to see for themselves how things have developed and how they will develop. But behind all of this, there is a suggestion amongst pretty much all the mainstream political parties. They believe that refugees and migrants, the way the entire immigration debate here has been handled, needs to change. There has been a toughening, a hardening of tone, but also of legislation regarding refugees in the course of the last 12 months. That's the prism you have to view this through. And of course, there's a general election coming up on February the 23rd, and immigration is playing quite a large part in that whole campaign, that debate. So that's how to see this. But the reaction from Syrians is a qualified success. They think this is an interesting step forward, if not necessarily a decisive one.
OK, thank you so much for all of that. That's Dominic Kane for us in Berlin. We're going to stay with this story, and we're joined now by Ulrich Bruckner, who is a professor of political science at Stanford University in Berlin. He joins us from Berlin. Thanks very much for being with us here on Al Jazeera. First of all, what's your reaction to this proposal? I mean, does it make sense for both Syrians, but as well as Germany as a whole?
Well, the situation is a very complex one, because when we only look at the aggregated number, that there is something like 1 million people of Syrian descent in Germany, and some of them have changed their nationality, some have this status, some have other status. People look at this from various angles depending on where they stand politically. So what we just heard from Dominic is that there's a growing number of people who simply want to lower the burden of granting asylum and giving a helping hand to people in need, which is true. But at the same time, there's still a vast majority of people who are strongly committed to the humanitarian support to people in need. And if the circumstances have changed, then one also should address them. So I can personally understand that the 2 ministers from the outgoing government try to find a pragmatic approach to help people to form an opinion if this is their future or whether they should rather stay in Germany. But of course, it is also something that will get them immediately under fire, because the right end of the political spectrum brings up a lot of legal questions. Is it Germany to decide about the status, or is it actually the personal choice of a person with a special security status to decide under what conditions they want to be in Germany. There are endless discussions, and it will be instrumentalized for the elections.
Yeah, as we heard, there's an election coming up next month, and the political view, as Dominic was describing it, has hardened against refugees and migrants. Immigration is clearly going to be a major bone of contention there in the election. How is that going to play into this proposal, and if it goes ahead or not?
Well, what we hear from the two female ministers of the outgoing government is a position that is strongly supported by people who vote for the Green Party. This is the foreign minister's opinion, and from Social Democrats who have a much more humanitarian position when we talk about migration. But on the right end of the spectrum are racist, xenophobic tones, anti-Islam, anti-Jewish positions that you didn't hear in the same way in 2015-16 when Germany was famous for its welcoming culture. So because there is a growing number of people who flirt with extremist positions, the potential winner of the upcoming elections, the Christian Democratic Union, is fishing in their waters. And therefore, the conservative candidate is making announcements that he personally could never complete, because everything is a case-by-case decision. And this idea of there's 1 million of people and we kick out 100,000 or 200,000 simply doesn't match German law and international commitments.
OK, thank you so much for your insight. Fascinating as always to get your thoughts. That's Ulrich Bruckner, Professor of Political Science at Stanford University.
Thanks for having me.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.